So welcome back, everyone. I'm excited about bringing on my next guest, who is Howard Farkash. He is with the Howard Farkash Agency. I want to talk about you for a second, if that's okay with you.
Sure, why not?
And that is that I want everybody to know that if you're looking for somebody who is going to be and tell you explicitly so that you understand the ins and outs of, we're going to talk a little bit about Medicare and things like that, but Howard's the one to call. I have to say this because people have a lot of questions when it comes to their health insurance or Medicare, and I want you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do, and then what we're going to talk about today.
Well, good afternoon to you, and happy September. Here it is, way after Labor Day already, for crying out loud.
I know.
It's just amazing how the year is flying by, and we're coming into what we refer to as the Medicare season, where we can all look at our plans and redo them if we want to redo them. Quite often you ask what it is, essentially a little bit about me. Basically, I've been in the insurance business since about 1995. Most of that here in Arizona, starting in approximately 1997, 1998. And I have specialized in Medicare and other senior products. I like working the senior market. The seniors really know what they want, but I enjoy also talking to younger people who help the seniors, basically, the seniors that are in their lives, their mom, mother, father, sister, brother, etc., who need help with the Medicare. A lot of times people want to ask me, well, gee, Howard, there are so many brokers out there selling Medicare insurance. How are you different? And that's an important question, because as we discussed last time we were together, there are basically two types of brokers out there, the good and the bad. Okay, that's easy, isn't it? But what makes for a good broker, basically, is one who has been involved with Medicare for some significant amount of time. I've been involved with Medicare ever since 1998. And I'm on Medicare, as a matter of fact, not since 1998, but I've been on it for a long time. You might say I understand Medicare from the inside out. I ask people lots of questions when I work with people, basically. I find out what you're looking for, not what I want to sell you. My selling style is a consultative selling style, as opposed to trying to meet a quota. So I try to help people select the right broker, a good broker, and I have a white paper that will help people understand how to find and interview a good broker.
We're going to open up the lines for everybody to be able to call you and to be able to get this white paper. And I want you to talk a little bit about that and what's on the agenda for today for that. And I'm going to give out his phone number in just a minute. So first of all, let's talk about the white paper and what's on your agenda for today.
Well, the white paper basically gives you the questions that you should be asking a potential broker, one who you want to serve you, basically, and lists about 8 or 9 or 10 key questions that you need to know in order to interview, because in a certain sense, you are going to be employing this person to help you do a job, basically. And like any other business that you might take on for yourself, you're always going to ask questions of the person you're asking to provide you with services. So rather than spend our time today going over the points of the white paper, I really do urge you to give a call. Carol, you have that number. Go ahead and give a call, and we'll get a copy of that white paper out to you.
Has phone number to call. It's 520-850-2101. Again, that's 520-850-2101. Go ahead.
Yes, and then you also asked about what we're going to be talking about today. And I'd like today's focus to be on the process and decisions you need to make to go on Medicare. Medicare, of course, you should understand, is a public-private partnership. The federal government is the public partner, and private insurance companies are the private partner, part of the partnerships, basically. In order to be going into Medicare, you have to be 65 years old or disabled. There are other criteria, but those are the main criteria. The first process that you take, the first step you need to take, is to enroll through Social Security. The Social Security Administration takes care of Medicare. They have a phone number, 800-772-1213, or you can register online. You can enroll online at www.ssa medicare.gov, basically. Now let me just comment here parenthetically. The rules for enrolling are somewhat complicated and they're complex with many circumstantial exceptions. Too much for us to take in this discussion right now, in this short program. The guidance I talk to you about now is general. Perhaps your case may vary. I'd be more than happy to discuss your case, your particular circumstances with you. Once again at that 1-520-850-2101. When should you register for Medicare? Well, 3 months prior to wanting to go on Medicare is when you should register with that Social Security office. You do that enrollment by yourself because it involves lots of personal information that only you would know. It asks questions. Which of these addresses did you not live at in the past, for example? So they ask a lot of personal questions for purposes of verification. So once you've made that enrollment, once you've done that enrollment over the phone, or in person or online, by the way, sometimes when you dial that 800 number, you'll be invited to make an appointment and actually go in and work on your enrollment. That's another option for you. Once you've done that enrollment, the question will always come up before you do that enrollment, I should say, do you have to enroll when you turn 65? And the answer to that is no, you don't have to, as long as you have creditable coverage through a credible employer group plan or are receiving medical care and benefits through the VA. There are other exceptions just as well. Once again, talk to me personally on that. And retired military, if you want to continue with your retirement program, your TRICARE program, you will need to get a basic Medicare as I described up front here. Now please, if you are retired military, still feel free to call me for further guidance in this area. You need to enroll in both Parts A and Part B of Medicare. In a future broadcast, we'll talk about those Parts A and Part B and describe what they actually mean. Your second step in the enrollment process, and this is where your broker comes in, is you need to understand, your broker should explain Medicare supplements, how they work, how much they cost, their limitations, their exclusions, their premiums, co-pays, deductibles, pros, cons, and prior approvals. That's important. Likewise, they should explain Medicare Advantage plans, how they work in a very similar fashion to what I just discussed for Medicare supplements. And also they should tell you about extra benefits, social benefits, and prior approvals. Then you decide which type of plan you want, and you switch your attention to that type of plan. If it's a supplement, that's largely a premium issue. You'd probably make a decision based on premium. If it's an Advantage plan that you're most interested in, find the plan that has all your attending physicians in network and has the lowest drug costs and the lowest maximum out-of-pocket. In either case, be sure to get a complete and compliant presentation about the plan that you would be signing up for.
The best thing to do, I think, is to call you and do it. It's a free service to the people out there.
There's no cost for our services. We get paid by the insurance company that you select, basically. So, like I say, it's a free service, something you should enjoy. Hardly anything is free these days, but
the information is awesome, because you know what, picking out your own is very difficult. And please, I'm going to say this too, don't call those numbers. I know everybody's getting inundated right now with the television ads and everything. It is becoming the seniors' season, so to say. But the best thing to do is call him. I love his white paper. The white paper's Medicare broker interview questions, what to ask them. The phone number to call him direct, it's 520-850-2101. And we're going to go to a break. When we come back, I want to talk further about some of this. So important for people to understand what they're doing. And one thing I know about Howard is he definitely puts everything out on the table for you and makes you understand completely.
Very simple. Just call Howard.
That phone number to call again, it's 520-850-2101. Just call Howard. We'll be back in just a minute. Okay. Are you okay?
I'm okay, and that basically gets me through all the prepared.
Okay.
So.
I'm okay. Can I go on my own a little bit here?
You
Okay.
me? Okay.
Okay.
You take me anywhere you want.
Okay.
It's your dance.
Okay, 'cause you did this already, yes? No, the final closing?
No, that's final closing. That's what you want to talk, when he says you've
Well,
got 1 minute left.
Right, I
2 minutes
gotcha,
left,
okay, I gotcha. I wanna talk about, not going through them completely, but some of the most important things that people should look out for, some of the most important things,
You tee it up and I'll knock it.
okay? Okay, so hold on tight.
You might start out by saying this is not a do-it-yourself exercise. It's not a do-it-yourself exercise. You need to really, that'd be a good bridge. You really need to find a good broker, how to interview a good broker, et cetera.
I just have some questions in my head too. This guy doesn't stop yawning. Wake up. Okay, you ready? Okay. You ready, sir? So welcome back, everyone. It's Medicare season. It's right around the corner, and basically, I think that for anyone that's turning 65 should listen on up, especially right now, because Howard has been doing this since 1998. 1998, I gotta write it down, 1998. And the way that this works is it's a free service to you, and having somebody help you, walk you through the steps, somebody here local, which is also very, very important. There are certain things that we can do as seniors this coming October, correct?
That's correct, or if you're just coming into Medicare for the first time.
Okay, and for what's most important is that, number one, you might have had some prescription changes. You might have a doctor change, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The other thing is that you definitely want to have a review, because I think most of the thing that's the most important for us seniors is how much are my prescriptions going to cost, and if they change it, they could change minute by minute with us seniors.
Well, you've hit on a topic that I was referring to another program that we're going to be having coming up here, but that's fine. Essentially what you're talking about is the review process. There's two types of customers that we deal with, those who need reviews and those who are coming into Medicare for the very first time. In either case, realistically, Medicare is not a do-it-yourself activity, basically. There are many traps and pitfalls to Medicare, and you really do need to know them. As a matter of fact, just looking at the game of golf, that's why we have caddies, basically. They know the course, they know how to give you direction as to avoiding those kinds of traps. some of these traps are lifetime traps with lifetime penalties, basically. So we don't want to get you involved in those things. We want to keep you from falling into a trap or into a penalty, basically.
He's got a white paper that he's written, Medicare Broker Interview Questions. And he wants you to ask the right questions because every time you talk to somebody, each person is different, but there's certain things that are very important that you need to make sure that they do. And you can call Howard direct for this. His phone number is 520-850-2101. I want to ask you, out of all the questions, right, what's the most important question somebody should ask their broker?
Boy, that's fascinating. I think the most important question is a series of questions, realistically, to find out whether this person has an agenda, something that they want to sell you, or whether or not they want to counsel with you and lead you to the plan that best meets your needs and wants. And you don't get that out of one question in particular, but it's by asking a good number of the questions that are on the white paper, basically.
Just called Howard for it, and the number to call him direct, it's 520-850-2101.
Yeah, that's an important thing, to get a good representative to keep you out of those traps. And I don't know if you know it or not, but good caddies make a lot of money just by advising tremendous golfers about the lay of the land and where the traps are and how to play the situation.
I want to ask you, if somebody doesn't ask the right questions and they try and do this on their own, you said this is not a do-yourself exercise. If they don't, or they try and do this on their own, what could happen? What is one of the worst things that can happen?
Well, you could wind up with severe penalties, basically, monetary penalties, or you could wind up with delayed coverage, basically. You can't get the coverage you thought you were going to get because you missed a critical enrollment period. So there are timetables. I always say it's not the rules of Medicare that get you in trouble, it's the exceptions to the rules. And it seems that the exceptions grow faster than the rulemaking grows.
And
basically.
the rules change a lot, correct?
They do, and so we're coming up on a period now to kind of foreshadow our next week's telephone, or visit rather. We expect there to be a lot of changes. So if you've passed your reviews, never did your reviews in previous years, this might be the year you want to do your review. Otherwise, you could wind up with some January surprises, especially on the medication side of things. You may find out that some drugs have been retiered. You may find out that premiums for drug plans have gone up, basically. And but there's good news too, and that is that the maximum out-of-pocket for seniors on Medicare plans will top out at $2,000. Now, if you don't hit $2,000 now, you say, big deal, I don't hit $2,000. But if you're a heavy user of prescription medications, or you take very expensive ones because of your medical condition, it's nice to know that the government has instituted policies and programs which will keep your drug costs maximized at $2,000 in 2025.
He has this white paper that he's written for everybody, and what he wants to do is help you understand the questions that you should ask and to interview a broker. So you can get the white paper by just calling Howard. His phone number is 520-850-2101. Another quick question
Let me interrupt, please.
Yeah.
And when you get
Whose show is it, Howard? No, go ahead.
And when you do get that paper and you do review it, feel free to call me back and ask me those questions, and I'll answer them for you.
Exactly. You know what? He wrote it for a reason, and he wants you to ask him these questions. You should. And you know what? He's got all the answers because he knows the right. You've been doing this since 1998. That's a very long time. And the thing about it is also, not only is he in Medicare himself, but what I love about you more than anything is how you explain things. And if you can't do it over the phone, you email with every single word that's going to be more understandable for anyone who talks with you.
I do. That's very, very
Something
true.
that he does.
Of course, I do enjoy face-to-face get-togethers and talking about these plans, going for a cup of coffee to discuss what needs to be done and how you're going to go about doing it. It's a process. It's not a 30-minute over-the-phone event, basically. If you want to make it that, I may not be the representative for you, basically.
I want to ask you, a lot of people will talk to their friends or neighbors. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, friends and neighbors are good and they're well-meaning. They mean to tell you what they've done, but how do you know that their rep is gonna be good for you? Has the right questioning techniques, knows what questions to be asked and answered. How do you know those kinds of things? What worked for your friend, neighbor, or relative may not work for you because of A, differences in health, and B, differences in financial structure. Medicare supplements have an upfront premium to be paid. Medicare Advantages don't. That affects people differently based upon their financial structure, and that's just the start of a long analysis of what is the best plan for a person.
A lot of people need to understand why it's so important to also go with a broker, as opposed to when you go with somebody that just works, let's representing one company, let's say on the television. Those are people, perfect people, right? You're inundated with it. I know you want to call. I know they have a lot of incentives that look really good, but not all of them are. Some of them are too good to be true. But the reason why somebody should go with a broker such as yourself.
Well, the reason is quite simple. We shop the market for you, basically, once we find out what it is that you want and or need, basically. So we have broad access. I represent 8 different carriers with about 90 different products. So it's quite a bit of selection for you. There are brokers out there who represent more plans, but there's a lot of duplication in the field just as well. The 8 that I represent seem to cover the waterfront pretty clearly.
So I want you to, in your closing, finish what you want to say to everybody out there. Listen up, everyone.
Well, I think it's very important that we realize when you go ahead and start the process of coming onto Medicare, and that is generally 3 months before the date that you want to come into Medicare is when you should begin contacting Social Security. Another important aspect is to learn about the differences between Medicare Advantage and Medicare supplement plans. Learn it thoroughly, and be taught that by a broker, a non-biased broker, by the way. And finally, there are many traps and penalties that keeps it from being a do-it-yourself activity, and you need some guidance. You don't know what you don't know.
I love that. I say that all the time, and it's so true. But here's also the other thing. It's a free service to you. Yes, there are other people out there, but you want to ask the right questions. So he's written this white paper for you to know the questions to ask. You can get it by just calling Howard. His phone number is 520-850-2101. You can call him and he'll go over all of these things with you. Any questions that you have. I know that it's Medicare season around the corner, but let me tell you something. Every day, we have people that turn 65, and you have to make sure that you kind of do this a little early.
That's absolutely true. That's why we say 3 months in advance. I just had a case go through. A fellow called me up about the 15th of August, and he was looking for a September 1st effective date. We did it. We don't always do it as quickly as that, though. And that's because we don't control the process. The insurance companies do. We were fortunate we were able to get things through, and he's a well-satisfied client at this point in time.
It's major that you just call somebody that you can relate to, right? And
Absolutely.
That's very important too. Also, if you have any questions whatsoever, call Howard, because he will definitely take his time with you. I love that about you. And even if you're busy, you must have sent an email that was like 2 or 3 pages long, but everything that you said, I understood better than before I opened that email.
Yeah, so you have to understand something. We're by having seniors having to choose a Medicare plan, we're asking them to do a very tough task, especially if they've never bought health insurance before in their lives. They've only received it through their employer, for example. How do you understand all this? How do you take all this? How do you hang it on all those gray matter cells in your brain and become organized?
Work
so
with
you
somebody.
Understand it.
Work with somebody who knows the business. He's been in this business since 1998. He's written a white paper for everybody to know the questions to ask your Medicare broker. The phone number to call, again, just call Howard. It's 520-850-2101.
Thank you, Carol. Good being with you.